Welcome back, you beautiful people. All right, some are still confused as to how we classify and label the various stages of crypto. What stage are we in now? What can we expect as we go forward? Totally understandable if you're brand new, you have a million and one viewpoints coming at you, but hopefully we can bring some clarity here and now. Certainly by matching up experience from the cycles past and then marrying that with, of course, some of this cycle's outlying market conditions that may throw some extra variables into the mix. Stay focused during this video if you can. I'll try to keep it as digestible and straightforward as I can because, much like anything else, to some extent, depending on how much you want to pump yourself up or down emotionally, you can translate things subjectively. For me, to keep things simple, I like to boil it down to what is a better time for me to buy and sell? How do I make the most money? What time frames am I better off adhering to make the most out of my portfolio? So if that sounds like you, then feel free to follow along. All right, phase one, the bottom. This is, of course, where prices are at all-time low. The general crypto space market cap is, of course, also very low. This is the time where people are not talking about crypto aside from the diehards. Everyone is holding every dollar and penny they have, and crypto market investing simply isn't at the forefront of the majority of minds. It was a fad. It wasn't here to stay. Crypto was a giant scam. All of those tropes that we've come to find humorous nowadays because we are extremely clever and extremely wise because we've been around for a cycle or two and have a little bit of experience. We know better than everyone else. They should quite simply bow down to us, those forever poor fools. But honestly, this is without a doubt the hardest phase to take positions for most, but also, ironically, the best and the less risky with the most upside. During this time, people don't feel motivated. There's no media attention, no major developments, certainly in relation to when we're in crypto bull mode. No immediate price action or movement for the most part. You buy a token, you watch it trade sideways forever because there's no major catalysts in play to pump everyone's bags to the moon. But again, it's also the best time to buy. We've all heard it. It's a well-known saying. When others are scared, be greedy. Same here. This is where the most folks who were around for cycles past, the ones who didn't lose all their money and or optimism and motivation in the market anyway, experience just how much of a monumental impact to your overall portfolio price performance taking those extremely early positions can have. And so these are the smart investors, or at least the most experienced, getting their positions, doing all the research and analysis in the hopes of finding that new powerful token that will rise up, or simply even looking for previous cycle winners, even blue chips like Bitcoin and Ethereum, where they foresee another very big opportunity, another great bull season swinging around, and they want to get the lowest entry points they can. This is where your money is made. Because if you know, you've been following this channel, you know that we make our money when we buy, right? And not when we sell. This phase has unfortunately passed. If you haven't taken positions already, you missed it. Shame on you. Then we come to phase two. This is where the folks who aren't quite as smart or experienced as the phase one folks come back into the market. This phase is very focused on recovery in market caps, emotions, expectations. People start once again to be motivated at the prospect of making lots of money in the crypto space. And so this is a large period of time where accumulation should be at the forefront of your strategy. It's a snowball effect also, even over this period where positive sentiment continues to grow. So even within this phase, the earlier you enter and take positions, typically the better for longer term price appreciation. So yeah, in this phase, we see projects that have moved and will continue to move in price, but that's always expected as we see that most of those earlier believers from the last cycle are re-entering the space, and so more capital is coming to play. This isn't where new money comes in. We aren't there yet. We're not yet at that phase. This is where the majority of the folks who have experience from the last cycle re-enter the market and rediscover their passion for crypto, let's say. This is, of course, not quite as great as being super early like the phase one folks, but it's also a time where many brand new projects start to enter the market. And so providing you're strategic and you're watching for the right flags to tell you what tokens and ecosystems and projects have the highest potential, you can still be just as early on those projects. In fact, this period of time is quite well known for the most development and emergence of new narratives. And so it's also, you could argue, just as valuable a time to take positions in many instances. In general, This is a period to aggressively fill your bags, as I say. You could even argue that much of the risk reward ratio involved in making good decisions when adding most of the existing coins to your portfolio swings heavily in your favor because we start to see those new developments, those project evolutions that may actually chart perhaps a clearer path forward. And this is where we are now. Now, you can believe that we are anywhere in the crypto cycle. You are entitled to your own beliefs. For me, this is the exact point we're at now. This is the time to be setting your portfolio for when prices go crazy. Time to be strategic for sure, but also a time to DCA consistently into your favorite projects while looking for new opportunities with massive potential. This is a time to get a part time job, to give yourself more dry powder to invest in the market, sell a lot of the stuff that you don't need, create more opportunity to strengthen your position in advance of the time that will come that will pump all our bags to the moon and pump your positions the most when bull market summer swings around. This is what we're all waiting for. Leverage private groups like our own, help shave some of that learning curve, especially if you're new. You don't have to play catch up quite as much as you think. You can have most of the research and the due diligence done for you. Listen to the experience in the marketplace. There are a lot of really great people out there that will show you the way if you actually listen. Of course, do your own due diligence, but that learning curve is getting shorter and shorter due to the sheer amount of data that we have at our disposal. More importantly, though, how long does this phase two last? Typically, as we look back at past cycles, the Bitcoin halving is a great indicator where we really start to see new price discovery and huge upward movements around 6 months after the halving. So if we look ahead and we see that around 50 days or so from now until the halving takes place, you can use your own math skills to figure out a general sense of timing there, right? This time around, though, some of those variables that I mentioned earlier come into play. Many seem to be thinking that the cycle this time is coming a lot earlier and that we may be breaking out of those same patterns that were evident in cycles past. This is the first time, for instance, that we've been in a situation where the blue chips, even Bitcoin and Ethereum, are heading towards all time highs. They may be on the precipice of new price discovery so prematurely, relatively speaking, to previous cycles. Now, to me, there's not really much mystery here as to why that is. We've been much more engaging from an institutional level. We've seen a lot more interest and engagement within the space driven by BlackRock and all of those other institutions utilizing this new ETF emergence to pump huge amounts of money into the market. Marketing has been in full effect because of this and will continue to be way into the bull market. TradFi folks are becoming aware of the market's validity really for the first time to this degree. And all of this means that we have a much stronger proposition for institutional wealth to enter the market this time around and as we go forward. So without getting into the weeds too much in this video, we've seen, fund managers like Grayscale, for instance, a huge fund manager, seeing a big sell-off within this ETF space because holders are being tied up for so long. They went through some legal issues. And so as soon as they were able to exit, they took that opportunity to do so. ETF vehicles were a good way to do that. And so because of that selling, we haven't yet begun to see the huge effect on Bitcoin price that will take hold. Again, in my opinion, couple that with the inevitability, I believe, of Ethereum ETFs, and there's new direct revenue channels that will bring, no doubt, a much higher price appreciation, not just to the blue chips, but the market as a whole. We'll see a lot more money entering the market in this manner. And institutional money is way bigger than retail money. A lot of traders, a lot of people who classify themselves as experienced within the crypto space, I think will be surprised due to the sheer volume that comes along with that TradFi narrative. So, has price appreciation started sooner? Yes. Do I think we will dictate a different pattern as to when we see the most price movement? No, I don't. I think it's fantastic for this cycle and what we can expect ahead. But knowing the time and digestion it takes for big funds to move larger sums of money, the flags they tend to look for that make those decisions that are signed off internally, I think we're still waiting for the majority of that effect to take hold. And to me, it will play, probably by design, to the usual cycle patterns we've seen time and time again in the space. And so we could see a perfect kind of intersection of our historical pumps with new huge amounts of money entering the market to evolve into what I'm labeling a super cycle. And I described in my last video what I believe a super cycle to be. And it's basically a lot more money entering the market and people reevaluating things like market caps of certain ecosystems because there's simply more value in the space to play with. So, how long do we have left? I think if you're DCAing and and being active in your position, grabbing, you know, new additions to your portfolio, building on your existing positions within your portfolio over the next 6 months, you will capitalize greatly because then we're heading to phase three. Now, this is where things change. In a nutshell, it's where we stop taking positions for the most part. We aren't necessarily selling yet, certainly not for our core positions. Maybe we start shifting early, smaller project positions that you see less potential now in over to more stable options, perhaps. But this is where the true emotion of waiting for optimum exits take hold. The difference between life changing wealth and a new car can happen within weeks, hell, within days sometimes. If you get out too early, you miss out huge. If you get out too late, you miss out huge. Many an investor look back to this period because they've exited early and they're full of ifs and buts. It's potentially for anyone who's been holding throughout the most dangerous point to let your emotions take hold. It's also the time in the market where you maybe have your hand a little closer to the dial as we assess market conditions and potential buy and sell flags. Because then we head into phase four, and this is where we're picking our exit strategies, right? This is also the time where, unfortunately, the majority of new folks entering the market are buying the top. They are your exit liquidity. Unfortunately, they're going to learn the hard lessons. You don't have to learn these because you're here now. You're watching this. You're already taking positions. Wrapped up in that euphoria accompanies this period of time. And so, as people start getting overly excited, they start seeing all these green candles. We know people buy green candles. It's very well known in the industry, right? It's where, or the market, I should say, it's where a lot of us kind of come to depend when it comes to reaping our own rewards. This is where lessons are learned and folks build their experience to capitalize on a lot of the time in the following cycle. Lessons, of course, that you don't have to learn, of course, because we have private groups, we have things that are set up for people, even if you're new to the market, aimed at guiding you through this, that are people who've been here before in past cycles, while also finding new projects to make money and helping you build your portfolio out for maximum gains and telling you when to sell. And guess what? Even after that, it isn't the end. You've made, hopefully, a lot of money by the time you reach this point in the bull cycle. As things are on the precipice of heading down the other way, you may feel the need to buy a new car, a new home, hell, even a new watch. But then you think to yourself, wait a minute, I should be putting this money to work for me over the next few years. I should be setting myself up for the future, changing my life actually with residual income flows. Well, this is where we also come in at that point to help you do just that. But right now, let's focus on building a portfolio out. Let's understand, even down in the most simplest terms, when to expect the biggest price movements, when to know to exit the market. These are all key decisions that have made or broken many crypto traders or budding traders over the years. And I want to make sure that you guys are not falling into the same traps that a lot of other people are. I hope this helps. Again, I probably rambled on a little bit there, but if it did help, please like and subscribe. I will catch you on the next one, as always, and much love. I'm looking at comments and all that good stuff, so make sure you're sharing your own thoughts with me as well. Appreciate it.